Okay, so keep in mind this graduate recruiting information session for medical engineering, biomedical engineering at University of South Florida, Tampa. We are recording it. There are a number of people who wanted to come that couldn't make it, and also some will be joining later. So this recording will be available and we can use it throughout this year's BME graduate program recruiting season. Okay, go to the next slide. Right, so we're the Department of Medical Engineering, USF. We're a joint department with Medical School and College of Engineering, and we administer all the BME grad and undergrad programs. Next slide. This is what we're going to be going over in the next hour or so, and notice there's a Q&A at the end, so if you want to talk to us during this Teams meeting, that's your opportunity to ask questions.
Yeah, so please jot them down in the chat so we could go over them at the end.
Okay, so put them in the chat and then we'll be organized about our questions. And this is our agenda. We're basically going to orient you to Tampa Bay region, USF, introduce you to our faculty and staff, and then we'll go over some research areas, program requirements, student organizations. So I'm Bob Frisina, founding chairman of our medical engineering department. We put together our BME academic programs. Thanks for joining us today. We have registered students beforehand from a variety of countries. This is consistent with our high diversity of our faculty, staff, and student body at University of South Florida. In fact, we are one of the 20 largest universities in the US based on number of students, 50,000. And according to US News and World Report, we are the university with the fastest rise in university rankings in the recent past. It puts us in the top 45 public universities in the US and the top 70 overall universities in the US. And our Department of Medical Engineering, it's a true joint department, as I said, med school, engineering, and it provides our students at all levels to work on translational medicine, as well as basic science and engineering projects, for example, for PhDs. We also have close interactions with one of the nation's top cancer centers, Moffitt Cancer Center. It's actually physically primarily located on our spacious and beautiful campuses here in the northeast corner of Tampa. And Moffitt is the only NIH designated comprehensive cancer center in the region. In terms of academic programs and degrees, our own Department of Medical Engineering carries out programs in different areas of strengths, which we'll mention later. We're a novel, dynamic department with tremendous new or newly renovated multidisciplinary lab facilities and some of the nicest buildings on campus. And our faculty are pretty serious about nationally recognized research. We have about $20 to $30 million of total grant support each year, mostly from NIH and NSF. And we also have many, many patents and some successful startup companies. So if you're interested in being in an environment stressing innovation, commercialization, our BME programs here are a great place to be. So in terms of research and innovation metrics per faculty member, we're competitive nationally with the top BME departments. Our graduates get great jobs in industry or academia. So if you're a PhD candidate, I hope you'll find a member of our BME faculty who you would like to work with at the graduate level. Please come join us at our sprawling modern campus in the beautiful growing coastal city of Tampa, Florida. If you have a particular interest in visiting Tampa and USF to work with one of our top BME faculty members, please let me know of your interest. Apply so I can look at your application and we can talk further about a visit to Tampa and University of South Florida. Okay. So a little bit about our Tampa Bay region. We have a lot of amusement parks, which I like, including Busch Gardens, which is about a mile away from our campus. And then in Orlando, which is about an hour drive, you have all the Orlando, Universal, Disney, and so forth. Many of our beaches get voted as 1, 2, 3 in the country, including Clearwater and St. Pete. We have sports. If you're into sports, some of our teams have achieved championship levels recently in football and hockey. The downtown area along the Hillsborough River is really becoming nicely developed. There's a river walk where you can walk from one restaurant or fun shop area to another, including breweries. And then there are some historic districts like Ybor City, which are recognized nationally, and some national Mardi Gras type events take place in the winter months when it's still warm here. Next slide. And on campus, our campus is about, let's see, 6 square miles or so and growing. So unlike many older universities, we're not landlocked. We actually have a lot of nice nature areas and a lot of areas to build new buildings on campus. A lot of sports. We have the Hillsborough River, as I mentioned. We have a USF park where you can go kayaking, canoeing, play a lot of sports. Fairly modern student center. We are Division I athletics for men and women with many, many sports. And as I mentioned, there's some nice garden nature areas on campus where you can relax. Okay, we got a video. Very good. Right. So we are in a pretty biomedically rich environment. We're affiliated with the top tertiary hospital, Tampa General, in the region. And some of our engineering students go down. They can go in the operating rooms and so forth as part of their training. Moffitt Cancer Center, I mentioned. We have one of the 2 biggest veterans hospitals, and for biomedical engineering, we have a multi-location prosthetic center between the mechanical engineering and biomedical engineering programs here. USF Health includes our medical school, brand new, beautiful 16-story building downtown. USF Connect is where some of our labs are, and that represents departments that help us with tech transfer, licensing our inventions. And then we have ties with Florida Orthopedic Institute, which is a major player in orthopedic clinical and surgical and research. Next slide. Housing options. There are some grad dorms on campus, but most of the students live in really nice developments with pools and beach volleyball courts and things that are on the streets adjacent to campus. So housing options are wide. Next. This is just a little map. So up in the upper right, you can see our insignia. Our mascot is the bull. And we are upper northeast corner of Tampa. Tampa's a pretty large city footprint wise. And then some of the arrows show the directions. If you want to go to Orlando, to Disney World, Universal, you can drive to Miami. That's a longer drive. The beaches are probably 45 minutes from campus. So you can go for a nice day trip, sunset dinner on the beach. Next slide. And we have a number of student organizations related to our BME community. Most notably, we have an award-winning student chapter of the National Biomedical Engineering Society. Next slide. And these are some of the other organizations. Again, we're recording this. It's going to be available. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time reading things that you can look into later. Next. And now a little introduction to our department. We are now at about 20 full-time people. So we're getting to a good critical mass. And on each of these slides, if the faculty member's here, I'll let them just say hello. And we have words of wisdom here. Mine is persistence. Next slide. Chris is here. Want to just say hi?
Hello, everyone. I'll be presenting a little bit more later, but just a few words about my research. I'm interested in the visual system and trying to understand how we and other animals see, and then applying that knowledge through the development of technologies and quantitative analyses to gain insight in various ocular diseases like glaucoma.
Great. Next. Dr. Akintui is not here. She's one of our award-winning professors of instruction, teaches our BME lab and does education engineering research, as well as tissue engineering. Next slide. Mason Mascari is not here. He's a newer faculty member, real expert in biomaterials, and teaches one of our favorite biotransport undergraduate courses. Next slide. Dr. Bulasheva, Anya, words of wisdom: lean in, focus, and finish. Be kind to others. Those are great. She is an expert in gene delivery, tissue engineering, electroporative drug delivery. Next slide. Richard Heller, one of our senior members, is probably one of the world leaders in electroporative gene and drug delivery. Doesn't want you to get distracted. Mark Jaroszewski, that's fine. Mark Jaroszewski also works with Drs. Bulasheva and Heller, and this group is one of our stars in terms of tech transfer, dozens of patents. And they have a successful startup company where they're actually manufacturing and selling devices. Next slide. Dr. Zhang is a world leader in photoacoustic tomography and other micro tomography imaging systems. And he's probably the number one writer of articles and books in our department. Next. Albert Kim is our star. He's principal investigator on 8 different NIH NSF grants, and he's really an amazing researcher when it comes to devices, including implantable devices in the body, using the body's physiological systems for energy and many, many other things. Next. Neda Latifi is one of our newer faculty, just is about to get a brand new lab in one of our best research buildings coming at the end of December. Tissue engineering, does a lot of cardiac applications, including biomaterials and new approaches for valve replacements and things of that nature. Next. Star Kim, she's our newest faculty member, and she is an AI extended virtual reality. She does engineering research for educating medical professionals with AI and 3D imaging, machine learning. Next. Alex Otten is here.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dr. Alex Otten. I work mostly as an instructor in embedded systems, statistics, and things like that. So I look forward to meeting some of you potentially one day.
Very good. Next. George Spiru is not here. He's one of our senior neuroengineering people and does amazing work in brain development, circuit development, in auditory system and other areas. Another one who has a very successful startup company where they're manufacturing and selling VR systems, headsets for not only research, but education at many different levels. Next. And one of our newer faculty members who is here. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Dr. Balak Safa. I work on vision science and soft tissue biomechanics. So my lab uses assays from ex vivo tests, in vivo tests, and clinical tests to address issues in vision science and glaucoma.
Very good. Next. And Zuhail Zekri, another one of our award-winning professors of instruction. He teaches several courses, but is the main driving force behind our senior capstone projects. We require all of those to have industrial partners, engineers, and this makes it very real world applicable. Next. And these are our great staff members. Shireen, do you want to say hello? You're muted.
I need to unmute myself. It's Friday, you can tell. Hi, everyone.
Yes.
I'm the Academic Services Administrator. I help support the students and the faculty with anything that they need.
Very good. Skylar?
Hi, I'm the Graduate Academic Program Specialist. Reach out to me if you need help.
Very good. And next. I think Terry's here. Go ahead, Terry.
Hello, I am the Industry Relations Coordinator, and I help our students find jobs, internships, and work with the department to build business partnerships to help develop our name around the nation.
Very good. And we're lucky to have Terry. Very few departments nationally in biomedical engineering would have a person devoted to just helping you get a job or move on professionally after you successfully complete our program. And Mary Nicholas is our undergrad academic advisor. Next. All right. We have some areas of excellence in our department, and these lists of faculty also include affiliate faculty. So we have 40 or so affiliate faculty who do biomedical engineering research outside. They have their primary appointment outside of medical engineering. These would be in the med school, in other departments, in engineering, and so forth. So I'm not going to read all this, but we have a cluster of expertise in biomechanics. Next. And then we have another area of strength in biomedical imaging and bioelectronics. Next. And then, not surprising, we have good expertise in cell and tissue engineering. Next. And we also have a group, the Heller Bulasheva Jaruzelski group in molecular medicine and drug delivery. Next. And then also a group in neuroengineering and rehabilitation engineering, sensory systems. Next. Okay, again, I'm not going to read all these lists, but they're here in the file and recording, which will be available to you and others. So as I said, we have about 40 or so affiliate courtesy faculty. Next. Keep going. Faculty vibes. Let's see what this is. Go ahead. All right, so we're giving a little bit more information about our faculty who are actively recruiting BME PhD students. So there's a lot of information here. This is Mesa Mascari. He does really neat work in biomaterials and, for example, how certain animals have very, very tough, rigid parts to their body, and then these could be used to, mimic health-related biomaterials for repairing bones and muscles and all those good things. So these are our faculty that either have grants and or startups to hire BME PhD students at this time. Next.
Greetings, my name is Anna Bulashova. I'm an assistant professor of biomedical engineering here at USF. I joined USF 2 years ago, establishing a gene therapy and regenerative medicine research laboratory. Currently, I have 2 open PhD student positions. Research directions include developing non-viral gene delivery protocols and biomaterial manufacturing techniques for regenerative applications. Major project directions include the following. The first direction focuses on developing gene transfer protocols for skeletal muscle delivery for protein replacement therapies, such as type 1 diabetes, GLP-1, or other metabolic disorders. The second focuses on developing gene transfer protocols and biomaterials for heart regeneration post-myocardial infarction. The third focuses on developing biomanufacturing techniques such as electrospinning, microfluidic extrusion, and bioprinting for volumetric muscle loss and tendon and ligament engineering. If you have any questions or would like to join the lab, please reach out to me. My email is abulashova@usf.edu. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, Albert Kim is also looking for PhD students. These are some of his really clever, interesting projects. And these all have usually electromechanical components, and some of them, as you can see here, smart stents. So stents that not only keep a blood vessel open, but they have other features to improve cardiovascular performance. And then microneedle wound dressings. So these are smarter wound dressings than just standard Band-Aids and things like that. And he has systems, number 4 here, where he calls acoustico bioelectronics. These are systems where you can communicate with your computer or cell phone, and they have micro electronic components and things whereby they can release drugs or do other neat things in the body. And smart dental implants. These are implants that, among other things, can respond to movements of the jaw, release antibiotic type substances to kill infections, things like that. And then works with some biofilms down there, number 7 and 8. Biofilms can be very resistant infections in the body, and this is a way for them. These are new systems to combat chronic infections. Next slide. Oh, we got a video.
My name is Albert Kim. I'm assistant professor of medical engineering. Medical engineering is a quite interdisciplinary field that requires different skills and different knowledges. A student who is interested in medical engineering should come in ready with open mind for dynamic and rapid learning. Our recent work has been featured in the IEEE Transaction Biomedical Engineering as a cover page. We developed totally implantable oxygen generator, or called TIO, which can deliver oxygen to address hypoxia. Using pulse electrolysis, our device can deliver high amount of oxygen without the chlorine generation over long term. TIO is implantable, biocompatible, lightweight, and wireless controllable, which making attractive candidate for clinical application. One application we're thinking is reversing hypoxic cancerous tumor, such that it can pair with the mainstream therapies, such as radiation therapy. It is expected to increase efficacy of radiation therapy and reduce the side effect and other treatment times. This interdisciplinary project was done by biomedical engineer, electrical engineer, and radiologist. Researchers with a different background could learn other disciplines outside their domain. For example, Dr. Simon Islam, who is a leading author of this project, is an electrical engineer who now understands biological side of cancer, hypoxia, and oxygen in the human body. Go Bulls!
Hello, Chris Bisaglia here, and I am the director of the Ocular Neuroscience and Neuroengineering Lab here at the University of South Florida. The research interests in my lab are to understand how visual information is represented in the eye's input to the brain, and to elucidate how this representation changes as ocular diseases inflict damage to the retina. We then use these experimental insights to engineer diagnostic and therapeutic devices for the treatment of eye diseases. My lab employs a variety of methodologies to achieve these research goals. We develop and use our own bioinstrumentation. We perform acute and chronic electrophysiological recording of neural activity. This includes surface recordings, single electrode, microelectrode recordings, and patch clamp recordings. And we perform computational analyses of the data to form models of how we and other animals see. These are the bread and butter techniques of the lab, but we've also been known to dabble in optical imaging of cell and tissue morphology, performing histologic and pharmacologic assays of cells to understand how they communicate with one another, and to perform behavioral assessments of the visual abilities of animals to understand their limits of seeing. My lab is funded by grants from the National Institutes of Health, which have several focus areas currently. One is to identify and model cellular processes and network computations that formulate the retinal output. Second is to quantify intraocular and intracranial pressure variability round the clock in conscious animals. We do this using the device shown in the left bottommost panel. It is a wireless intraocular pressure sensor that records eye pressure via a tube that's implanted in the eye. And it sends that data to a laptop next to the animal to monitor eye pressure. We can also put that tube into the cerebral ventricle to monitor intracranial pressure. In addition, a third research aim of ours is to investigate circadian and other autonomic mechanisms that regulate intraocular pressure. We also measure and manipulate intraocular pressure dynamics in conscious animals using the device shown in the middle in white, which draws fluid from a reservoir and infuses it into the eye through the pump to allow us to hold eye pressure at any level we want and induce glaucoma in the animal under study. And a fifth focus area of the lab currently is to characterize retinal neuron morphology and physiology in normal and hypertensive eyes. For further information, I refer you to the lab website, and if you're interested in working in the lab, contact me at basaglia@usf.edu. We are looking for 1 to 2 students this year. Thank you.
And Dr. Safa is here.
All right, so hello again. My name is Dr. Babak Safa. So my lab studies ocular and soft tissue biomechanics. We primarily focused on glaucoma, which is the leading cause of irreversible blindness in the world. So in this disease, the pressure inside of the eye is elevated, which causes neurological damage. And we investigate how this happens and how we can prevent it. So can you go please to next slide? All right, so there are 2 lines available for PhD students in my lab. So the objective statements of the projects are listed in the center. So the first project is mostly focused on finite element modeling and OCT imaging from patient and animal data in order to measure iris biomechanical properties. And we have a second line available for measuring how the tissues actually deform in terms of biomechanical effects and biological effects in glaucoma, which is a common phenomenon known as glaucomatous optic nerve head remodeling. So there are 5 areas of competency in my lab. So if you are a grad student, you will be exposed to at least 3 of them majorly, and you will gain experience in all of them. And they include biomechanical testing of soft tissue and bioengineered material. Clinical research would involve interacting with patients and collecting ophthalmic data from patients. Also animal studies. So we have a rabbit animal model in the lab, which we use for studying the eye. And as well as biology of the ocular tissue, we mostly are interested in mechanobiology of the eye, so which involve 2D and 3D cell culture and other assays related to ocular biology. And also we do lots of computational biomechanics, which entail patient-specific and image-based finite element modeling for understanding glaucoma using in vivo and ex vivo assays. So if you have any questions, you can reach me at babakn@usf.edu or visit our website at safailab.com.
Great. Thank you.
Good
Next
afternoon,
slide.
everyone. I'm George Spiro, and I'm the PI of the Auditory Development and Connectomics Laboratory. And as the name implies, we have 2 main research areas in the lab, one auditory development. And there we're looking at formation of neural circuits. We use mice as our experimental animals, so we're looking at their late embryonic ages in the first week or so after they're born, which is the equivalent of the 3rd to 5th months of human gestation, when the brain is putting itself together very, very rapidly. We use a range of technologies, structural technologies, imaging over large volumes using light microscopy, fluorescence, and electron microscopy. And we're looking not only at neurons, but also the glial, the non-neuronal cells. Here's an image of an astrocyte. but also at the blood vessels. We're looking at the functional maturation also using electrophysiological techniques, patch clamp, current and voltage clamp, using brain slices, ex vivo brain slices. We're looking at gene expression. And so we want a multifaceted view of this whole process. And then we're going in to manipulate the system, and one strategy is to use viral vectors. And for example, now we're exploring the roles of spontaneous activity, that is activity in the absence of, in this case, an auditory stimulus, and what role does that electrical activity play in generating all the gene expression mechanisms that drive all of these changes. Now, our other project is very focused on brain wiring and what we call connectomics, and we do it at nanoscale. That means we're looking at large volume electron microscopy image sets, and there we can extract the neurons and we can map the synapses. And from that, then, there's a lot of image processing and applications of machine learning to auto-segment the tissue, extract the objects, which are the neurons, and then convert them into a format where we can put them in silico and connect them up and see if our circuit in silico is matching the behavior that we know the cells exhibit when we record in vivo in response to sound. So this is a way of testing our understanding of the circuit, and then also a way to investigate biologically inspired AI that may improve its computing capabilities when based upon the kind of neural architectures and circuit architectures that we discover. We also use virtual reality software that was developed out of our laboratory, and here are a couple of pictures of the lab. And so if you're interested in any of these topics, please contact me and we can continue discussing as the session goes on.
Very good. And now we are going to switch to Dr. Chris Pasaglia, who's going to mention some of the key program requirements. And for those of you who are here at the end, you can ask questions about this.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to sort of go over the MS and PhD program admission. The admission and degree requirements. There'll be a lot of information that's coming forward that I'm not going to go over in a lot of detail. Simply there for you to view later on offline if you're interested in any of the various programs that I'll be mentioning. In the interest of kind of summarizing that information, it may be helpful to get a feel for what students that are here are interested in. So could I get a show of hands, those who are looking more towards the master's program? All right, thank you. And then can I get a show of hands for those interested in more the PhD program? So it looks like we have a more or less even mixture of both, so I'll kind of weight them equally in my discussion. Right, so next slide, please. So we'll begin with the master's program, and the admission information is sort of listed here. Some of the key salient points are if you're from an ABET accredited engineering program, then the GRE scores are not required. If you are not from such a program, then we do require the GRE scores. We have a certain undergraduate GPA minimum of 3.0 listed there. TOEFL scores, and so forth. Next slide, please. So the master's program here, you have two options that you can pursue. One is to do a non-thesis master's, which is purely a coursework master's, or you can do a thesis master's, where you would do research in a faculty member's lab. The coursework component, which will be similar when I go over the master's, sorry, the PhD program as well. That coursework component will typically take you about 1.5 years to complete. So if you did a non-thesis master's, you would be done at that point in time. If you do the thesis track, you can use some of those credits. You can do research credits to fulfill some of the kind of coursework credits, but the thesis itself will probably take an additional year of research time. So it'll probably take you 2.5 years to complete the thesis degree. The advantage, of course, with the thesis track is you would get more research experience than you would through the non-thesis coursework track. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, the MS and I'll just kind of hit them both at the same time because the curricular requirements are the same for the 2 degree programs, and that is there's a 30 credit requirement. 6 of those credits are required core courses. They're listed in the middle as BME 6725 and BME 5913. One is essentially a statistical analysis course, a multivariate statistical analysis course, and the other is a research principles and practice course. So in addition to those core requirements that every student has to take, we have 9 credits that are divided up between a life science, 3 of which are life science, and the other 6 are mathematics requirements. Those 9 credits, you have some option as to which courses you would like to take. So to fulfill the life science requirement, you need to take one of those courses listed at the very bottom: molecular cell, biomedical engineering, engineering physiology, or basic medical anatomy. And then to fulfill the mathematics requirement, next slide, please. Yeah, okay, so we call it at the analytics requirement. You would take 2 of the courses listed on this slide. And then the additional 15 credits that are left would be specialization courses. That's probably the next slide. Yep. And so for the other 15 credits, you would take amongst these lists to complete those 30 credits that are required for the master's degree. Next slide, please. And here's some more course options for those 15 credits. Next slide, please. And some more. So there's lots of elective options that you can take to fulfill those 15 credits. Now, when you take those 15 credits, you can, if you would like, choose to have 9 of those 15 credits dedicated to a particular, what we call concentration. And this concentration would appear on your transcript. And the concentration is in different areas. And so one area is a biomechanics concentration. For that concentration, you would take the required course of advanced biomechanics of biological materials. And for the other 6 credits, you can take any one of the others listed there. Next concentration. So next is the biomedical imaging and bioelectronics. It has a required course of bioelectricity, and then the others, you can take any 2 of those to fulfill the concentration if you'd like a concentration in this topic area. Next slide, please. Our third concentration is in cell and tissue engineering. It has a required course of biomaterials and material properties, and then you can take any of the other courses, 2 of the other courses there. Next one is concentration in molecular medicine and drug delivery. You'll notice that these concentrations align with the research areas that Dr. Frasina mentioned earlier in this presentation. For this concentration, the required course was biotransport and then 2 other electives. Finally, we have a concentration in neuroengineering and rehabilitation engineering. And we have required concentration in robotic systems and 2 courses from that other list to fulfill that concentration. I see some hands up. I'm not sure if those hands are left from when I did the poll or if those are new hands asking questions about what I've covered so far. Looks like Peter put his hand down and back up. You have a question, Peter? Okay, so let me continue on with the presentation. Next slide, please. So now on the PhD side of things, in the case of the master's, students would come, get admitted, and either do research, do courses that year, or work in a lab. And if you work in a lab, it's very lab dependent and the project dependent, whether you might be able to get some support for that time in terms of a stipend for the research you're doing in the lab or not. And the PhD program, it has a stipend that covers your sort of living wages, and it covers the cost of your coursework that you would be taking. The PhD process, you apply as you would for the master's program, but then it has a second level of the admissions process. First, you have to get admitted into the program, and then after you're admitted, you need to identify a faculty member in whose lab you would work in to complete that PhD. That faculty member would then support your stipend for the remainder time that you're doing the PhD in that person's lab, as well as provide support for all the material costs that would go along with that research. The PhD admission process would, when you apply, that list will be circulated to the various faculty. You saw the videos earlier on. Those videos identified some faculty that have clearly voiced a need and interest in hiring students this year. You're certainly welcome to reach out to faculty who did not have a video in this presentation, because faculty get funding any particular time, potentially after this video gets made, and may have a position open up between now and the fall. So reach out to them when you apply. We'll also have access to your application, and so faculty who are looking might also equally reach out to you to gauge your interest in working in their lab. Once you're admitted into the PhD program, these are some of the baseline requirements that are needed for admission. The requirements are similar to what they are for the master's, although the undergrad GPA is a little bit higher. If you already have a master's degree coming in, depending on what the field is, you can potentially count some of those credits towards your PhD. So let's go to the next slide, please. All right, so as I mentioned, the curricular requirements are the same for those first 30. And then as a PhD, you have these additional elective courses, which are additional 30 credits. Those 30 credits can be additional coursework. More often than not, they're credits that are connected to working in that lab, so-called directed research credits. And then once you've completed those 60 credits, you're able to do a prospectus and announce what you would like to do for your PhD. If you pass that PhD prospectus exam, you would then move on to candidacy and complete an additional 12 credit hours of dissertation research credit, at which point in time you would be prepared to defend your thesis if you've completed the additional degree requirements in terms of the research aspects. So if you've already gotten your master's, that would mean you have 42 credits left to accumulate. If you're coming straight from a bachelor's program, then you would have a total of 72 credit hours to accumulate. And again, all these credit hours would be part of the package that is given to PhD applicants in their admission to the university. Next slide, please. This looks out of place, so let's just skip this. These are more of the same courses you saw earlier, so we can skip this. Next slide. Okay. So some notable highlights for those of you who are acquiring at different PhD programs. What kind of the pros and cons, for my opinion, of our program. So one of the sort of big pros, in my personal opinion, is that you're directly admitted into a research lab. And so what that means is, you know, when you come to the university, based on whose lab you've connected with and they've agreed to sponsor your PhD, you know whose lab you're working in. The alternative, or the other end of the coin, or other side of the coin, is a rotational style system. The pros of that system is that you would rotate through different labs. So if you don't know exactly which lab or you want to do for your PhD, that could be an attractive model, so that you can try out different labs. The downside is that if you do have a sense of what you want to do, you're not really you'll have to commit to that university not knowing which lab you would end up working in, and it might not be your first or second or even your third choice. So with a direct sponsorship, you're directly admitted into your lab. Another advantage of that is that the minute you get here, you are working on your PhD. Whereas with the rotation system, most of those places will have you'll lose a year spending time on those rotations, which means it'll take you an extra year to complete your degree. So our students complete their degrees in typically around the 4 to 5 year mark, whereas other programs can be anywhere from 5 to 7 years on average, because of the additional time spent just rotating through labs trying to figure out which lab you would like to work in. Another thing is, we do not have a PhD qualifying exam. The prospectus, which all PhD programs across the country have, is your only exam that you have to take to demonstrate proficiencies in biomedical engineering for the PhD degree. So it doubles as both your candidacy exam to the PhD degree, as well as a proficiency exam for the degree. And so because of that, it's a time savings, because you're not having to spend time or coursework and materials to kind of get prepared for that exam. It also means that you don't need to be taking a full-time course load, so that you can have all the courses you need in order to take that exam. And so here, oftentimes you'll come in your first semester, you'll spend part of your time taking courses, and then the other part of time working in a lab, as opposed to just taking courses your whole first year and a half. So you're really immersed right from the get-go into the research experience. It also gives you a very flexible curriculum timeline, because now you're not taking all your courses at the front. Later on, maybe in year 2 or 3, you might come to realize from your research that you need to know a particular topic a little better. And because you're not front loading all that coursework, you can still have credits available to take those courses at a later time. So you can take courses as you need them as you progress through your degree. So those are, I would say, kind of the main highlights that come to mind as to why we like our system. Next slide, please. So to apply to the program, there's a QR code there. The application fee is $30 for U.S. students. I give you, and then we can move to the next slide for international students. There's the QR code. And next slide. All right, so that concludes our presentation.